Hey, what's up, YouTube fans? So, what I wanted to talk about in this video, right, is how it's really ironic, right, how one of the mantras of creationists is they will oftentimes, be like, life only comes from life. Life does not come from non-life, right? And yet, ironically, that is a strong argument towards universal common ancestry, right? Um, if life only comes from life, right, then what is a better explanation for the first humans? That a spirit made them from dirt, or that they came from earlier life forms, right? Um, Universal common ancestry, right, allows for all of the species we have alive today to come from earlier life forms, right? And then those life forms and so on and so forth, right? And I mean, they say God is alive, but in a biological sense, if he doesn't have cells, he is not living in a biological sense. You could say in a spiritual sense, but in a literal sense, a biological sense, a spirit creating something is like a spirit creating a living thing is life coming from non-life, right? What's not life coming from non-life is for the first humans to evolve from earlier life forms, right? And same for all the other species we have alive today, and then the species before them, and the species before them, and so on. And so it baffles me, right, that they will somehow see it as an argument for their position to say life only comes from life, right, when that is most consistent with evolutionary theory, right, not creationism, right? Creationism, right, says that all of these different groups of living things have many independent origins, right, from something that was not itself a living organism, did not make them by reproducing, right, made them supernaturally, right? That's life coming from non-life, right? We're the ones that are saying, right, that, humans, right, the first humans came from life, right? Right, they believe that a spirit made humans from dirt, right? So that is life coming from non-life, right? And even when it comes to the origin of life, right, which is more so consistent with life only coming from life. A spirit, which is not something that in a biological sense will be considered living, for something like that to, say, let there be a cell and it poofs into existence, or that the earliest life forms came about in a gradual process, right, from earlier self-replicating progenitors, right, with no single point along the way where it's an abrupt transition where we would definitely say this is where it's living, right? Which of those two is more so consistent with saying that life only comes from life? I think the second one is, right? But somehow they think, the fact that we only observe life come from life, somehow that is most like, somehow they think that supports the view that a spirit made a fully grown human man from dirt, right? And he never was a baby, never was a zygote, never had parents, right? And somehow that's what you get from life only comes from life. life only comes from life, right, is indicative of universal common ancestry, right? So, all right, that's all for now. See you guys.